Hey, what is going on, you gassy gulpin? So Liverpool Regionals, of course, did just happen recently, and there was a lot of cool, interesting decks played there, and I think they were all overshadowed a little bit by the list that Robin used to win the tournament, of course, because it was definitely the most cool and the most interesting of the decks played there. But one that caught my eye specifically was toward Reklev's take on Mew with the Switching Cups. Now, I'm not 100% sure if Switching Cups is the correct way to play the Mew deck or the wrong way to play the Mew deck, but I think it's really interesting at the very least, and definitely worth trying out, and I'm definitely going to be trying it out myself. I actually kind of forgot Switching Cups kind of existed for a little while. I did play them for a little bit towards the end of last format, but going into this format, I kind of forgot they existed, and I hadn't tried them out since. But toward playing them this last weekend at Liverpool has made me want to try them out again myself. So I'm going to be taking a look at the list, breaking it down, going over it, and let you guys know why and when and where and how you should be using the Switching Cups in this list. Before we take a look at the list, though, if you guys ever need anything Pokemon TCG related and you want to be supporting the channel, then be sure to go over to fullgripcodes.com for your PTCGO/PTCG live codes, and be sure to go over to fullgripgames.com to get your cards. Or if you don't want to buy any cards, you don't need to buy any cards, you can always sell your cards over there as well. Check out their buy list and their bulk buy list over there. Okay, let's take a look at this list. Let's break it down. So the first thing we'll talk about, I think, is the Switching Cups, and that kind of ties into some of the other things going on in the list. So the first thing is the Switching Cups, which allows you to switch a card from the top of your deck, or a card from your hand with the card of the top of your deck. So a card from your hand to the card on the top of your deck. That's what I mean to say here. So that can do a lot of things. And the number one combo you can kind of pull off there is you can put Fusion Strike Energy from your hand to the top of your deck, and then Elsa Sparkle it from the top of your deck back into play. So this allows you to attach for turn without attaching a Fusion Strike Energy. So a lot of cool combos can come up with this play. You could have like 2 Fusion Strike Energy in hand, but you're trying to get 4 of them in play, and you could already have like 1 Fusion Strike Energy in play. So now you can go Switching Cups, put a Fusion Strike Energy on top of your deck, Elsa Sparkle it into play, and then attach for turn with the Fusion Strike Energy, and now you have quad Fusion Strike Energy in play, which of course is super powerful because it allows you to use the Melodious Echo attack from Meloetta for 280 damage. It could also allow you to kind of get the Fusion Strike Energy in play that way, but maybe instead you attach like a DTE for turn, and you use the Cross Fusion Strike from the Mew to copy Melodious Echo for 280, and maybe you get like a Choice Belt or a couple Power Tablets involved, and then that allows you to hit for those bigger numbers to get those one-hit KOs. So that's like the main, that's like the biggest combo, I would say, the most impactful combo that you can kind of pull off with Switching Cups. The next big combo to be able to utilize with the Switching Cups is it allows you to put Stadium cards from your hand on top of your deck. So this allows you to actually play around that old, Marnie Path combo that is usually so effective against Mew that so many decks try and pull off in game. So it allows you to kind of play around that combo very, very well. So that's like another super cool combo for the Switching Cups that isn't as utilized in the current meta, to be honest, because not that many decks are actually running like a heavy path to the peak count. Of course, the Inteleon decks that play like 2 to 3 paths to the peak can pretty easily pull off that combo with the Shady Dealings. So it's something that will definitely still come up against those decks. But that's like the other really big combo that comes up here. But take a look at the rest of the list. Most of it looks pretty normal. So we'll talk about the 3-2 Mew VMAX line here in just a second. But yeah, 4 Genesect, 2 Meloetta, and then 1 Oricorio. Now Oricorio, I think, is super important to play in the current builds of Mew VMAX. It's really good up against one-pricer decks in a lot of situations, specifically the Rapid Strike Malamar. You can use it to knock out Inkays on turn 1 if they have like a lone Inkay. It makes them need another Rapid Strike card for the Malamar to actually get a 1-hit KO on a Mew VMAX. And then also it's something you can kind of Psychic Leap into later on in games to kind of set up a one-pricer for turn up against the Rapid Strike Malamar. So up against Rapid Strike Malamar specifically, Oricorio is super, super good. And with Rapid Strike Malamar finally being kind of established and respected as a tier 1 deck, definitely makes me think Oricorio is worth running right now. I would definitely recommend playing the Oricorio. 2 Meloetta, of course, like I mentioned, you don't want to prize them, and of course you play the 4 Genesect. So the 3-2 Mew line, which seems a little bit low. Most people are running the 4-3 Mew VMAX line. We actually saw one of the lists that made top 8 at Liverpool playing a 4-2 Mew VMAX line, which I thought was interesting. But I feel like if you're going down to the 2 Mew VMAX, going down to 3 Mew V is probably fine. But I definitely like this line overall. Ideally, this is how many Mew you want to play in the deck, because it's really not a very good card past setting up your first Mew VMAX or 2. All your other Mew cards are basically pointless and useless at that point. You don't really want them anymore. So there is that. And I actually was running the 3-2 Mew line towards the end of last format is another time when I was playing the 3-2 Mew VMAX line, and it felt really good to like not have the extra Mews and Mew VMAXs in the deck, because it was just kind of hard to move them sometimes out of the hand. Now that we have Ultra Ball, though, it's become a little bit less of a problem, but it can still free up deck space for other cute tech cards, you know, like the Switching Cups, or if you want to play a heavier stadium count, like there's 4 stadiums in this list, you can find some more room for that. And the reason Switching Cups actually combos super well with this thinner Mew VMAX line is it allows you to protect your Mew VMAX cards while still being aggressive with your Quick Balls and Ultra Balls, or just kind of getting them out of your hand until you need them later on. So there are situations where you sometimes need that third Mew V, but if it's in your hand and you want to be drawing more cards and seeing more cards on the turn, you can do something like Switching Cups the Mew V to the top of the deck, then play a Quick Ball or Ultra Ball. Maybe you just carve the card you got off Switching Cups. Maybe you already had some good cards to discard before that, or you could even play a Rotom Phone afterwards, shuffle that Mew V back into the deck. Now it's not in your hand anymore, and you can more freely utilize or move your hand around with the, you know, the Fusion Strike systems with the Genesect, and try and maximize your card draw that way, and you don't just have that Mew V kind of sitting in your hand being stuck there. Same thing with the Mew VMAXs in early turns, especially turn 1, sometimes even turn 2. You don't actually want to put Mew VMAX in play, and even later in the game towards the mid-late game, you also still don't want Mew VMAX in play. So the Switching Cups allows you to, you know, either protect those cards from being discarded. Like if you look at your hand and you're like, well, I didn't play this Ultra Ball, but one of the cards I currently want to discard right now is the Mew VMAX, but I'm trying to like thin out my hand as much as possible. And then if you have a Switching Cups in the hand, you could Ultra Ball away the Switching Cups plus the Mew VMAX, but then there's still, or the Switching Cups plus another card, but there's still the Mew VMAX in your hand. So what you can do is you can Switching Cups and Mew VMAX to the top of your deck, and then get another random card. Hopefully it's not something else you wouldn't want to discard, because it could be, and then you can Ultra Ball that away instead, and then get rid of those 2 cards, and you still have the Mew VMAX in the deck for later on. So there's a lot of cool ways you can kind of protect your cards, switch stuff around, and make sure you're kind of keeping what you need for later turns while still being as aggressive as possible with your Fusion Strike system draws. There's just a lot of cool scenarios like that with the Switching Cups, and it's a pretty hard card to learn how to use optimally. I will say that about the Switching Cups for sure. It's pretty hard to figure out how to use it optimally, but once you get it down, there's so many cool plays you can pull off with it, and it feels so rewarding. It's just a ton of fun to include in your deck and play around with the Mew VMAX deck. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm not sure if it's the optimal way to run the deck, but it definitely is a ton of fun, and it does open up new lines of play you just wouldn't have access to if you didn't have the Switching Cups. So I definitely recommend giving it a shot if you're someone who's been running Mew VMAX, and I know it can get a little bit boring running the same 60 of Mew VMAX over and over and over again. So if you're looking to switch it up and play something else that is definitely very, very good, then I would definitely try out the Switching Cups. For sure. The other thing I did want to mention in the list that I'm sure a couple of you have noticed, and that seems a little bit off to you, or I guess 3 things, is that the one escape rope, and this is actually the biggest thing in this list that I probably don't like, is just the one escape rope. I feel like so often on that second turn or first turn going second, escape rope is such a powerful card to have access to, and you still have a decent amount of outs to it. You're going to see a ton of cards in your deck, and if you ever get a Cramomatic Heads, that could be the escape rope, but if you also need an Elsa Sparkle to pull off the turn Melodious Echo, then you might not be able to find the escape rope on the turn, and be able to force up, you know, their Arceus on the bench or something like that is pretty good. So I think the one change I would probably end up making after I probably put some games of testing in with the list would be to cut a switch for the second escape rope. Always been a huge fan of 2 escape rope when you're not playing Pokemon catchers. If there's Pokemon catchers in the list, more fan of just the 1 escape rope, but with no Pokemon catchers, I do like the double escape rope. The next thing would be the 1 of Choice Spell. Almost every Mew VMAX deck right now plays 2 Choice Spell, and that's another one I'm a little bit more unsure of as well in this list from Tord, and I definitely want to give this list a shot. Like I said, same thing with the escape rope. I'm going to play with 1 escape rope. I'm going to play with 1 Choice Spell, but that's the other card that it's like, well, I've used 2 Choice Spell quite a bit in this deck, but the Switching Cups do give you a little bit more flexibility to conserve Power Tablets or conserve Choice Belts and stuff like that. So with the Switching Cups in here, it does give you more opportunities to not overextend your resources and conserve them for later, and then end up in a situation where you'll have enough damage even with just like a 1 of Choice Belt anyway. So I definitely want to give it a try and see if the Switching Cups do enough to kind of conserve your resources in that manner to help you in the late game have all the stuff you need to be able to close out games. 4 stadium cards here. 1 training card, of course, because there is, and the last thing I'm going to talk about here is that basic energy. And I actually do like the 1 of basic energy right now because it does allow you to get more consistent psychic leaps off to do enough damage to actually take KOs. And specifically, this is super relevant in the Rapid Strike Malamar matchup, where you want to be able to Psychic Leap with your Mew VMAX, but you also want to make sure you're taking a knockout while you're Psychic Leaping. So you're going to either be Psychic Leaping into another Mew VMAX, on turns where you think your opponent won't be able to get the knockout on a Mew VMAX, or you'll be Psychic Leaping into something like a Meloetta or an Oricorio and just run to that for the turn and give your opponent that. And then if they want to take a knockout, they only get to KO one prize Pokemon. But the basic Psychic allows you to be Psychic Leaping for that full 70 damage. Whereas if you have a DTE on your Mew VMAX, you're only doing 50 damage through from the Cross Fusion Strike into the Psychic Leap, and that will, you know, lead to you potentially whiffing knockout. So it does increase your chances of being able to pull off those KOs more consistently when you're trying to use Psychic Leap specifically to get the knockouts. It also opens up plays where it's a little bit easier in the mirror match to get 2 non-DTE energy, whether it be a basic Psychic and a Fusion Strike energy, or 2 Fusion Strike energy on a Mew VMAX in the mirror match, to be able to pull off the Cross Fusion Strike for the Techno Blast. And then if they have an Oricorio in play and you have a DTE on your Mew, then you need Quad Tablet plus a Choice Belt. But if you have 1 Fusion Strike energy and a Psychic, or 2 Fusion Strike energy, and you're trying to 1-hit KO one of their Mew VMAXs, even if they have the Oricorio in play, you only need 3 Power Tablets and a single Choice Belt. So it does help with that kind of play a little bit as well. Of course, there are a bunch of situations where the third DTE, just finding DTE more consistently, or just finding that second or third even potential DTE in a situation, in a game, could be the difference maker as well. So I think 3 DTE is good. I also think there is certain metas where the basic Psychic is pretty good as well. And I think we're kind of in that situation where the basic Psychic is a little bit better, because Rapid Strike Malamar is super, super popular. And I think it will just be getting more popular as more people understand how good of a deck it is, and that it really is a tier 1 deck. So I do actually like the one of basic Psychic right now, but I think it could definitely become a DTE if single prize decks kind of shift out of the meta in the future. And then maybe you'd want to bring back in something like an Echoing Horn, which is the other card that has kind of been a staple in Mew VMAX that isn't in this list as well. But that one I'm a little bit less sold on as being a necessity. As long as you play smart around your Fusion Strike energy, and, you know, see the prize trade when you need to for what you need to chase down, you should be able to get the big 1-hit KOs through Melodious Echo when you need it, or big Power Tablet KOs, or just make sure you're pricing your chasing your prize cards with bosses orders when you need to as well, leading to victories fairly often, because Mew's pretty good. That's going to do it for this breakdown of Tord Reklev's Switching Cups Mew VMAX deck. Like I said, not sold on this being the correct way to play Mew VMAX, but I don't think it's bad, and might be just as good. It might be a little bit meta dependent, but definitely recommend trying it out if you're kind of feeling a little bit burnt out on the same old Mew VMAX deck. And that's going to do it, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.